Seeing that it's 9 o'clock, I'm going to call to order this meeting of the Minor Project Review Committee for the City of Keene. I guess not 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. 9 o'clock was the previous meeting. Nicely done. So first order of business is roll call. Megan, could you please call the roll?
Michael Hagan.
Here.
Rick Wood.
Here.
Jesse Rounds.
Present.
Med Kopczynski.
Here.
Don Lucier.
Here.
All right. With that, minutes of the previous meeting, we have the May 2nd minutes. As a reminder, even if you weren't here, you can make a motion to approve or second. So are there any corrections to the minutes? Uh-oh. What are you talking about? Stop talking about things without me. I want to know everything that's happening. Any questions, comments about the minutes?
I think the chairmanship at that meeting was brilliant.
My memory, which is I wasn't there, means that it was great.
Be that as it may, move to accept the minutes of the Minor Project Review Committee pre-submission meeting of May 2nd as presented.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, that was, yep. Is this the minor or sorry? Sorry, this was
That was
Minor
the
Project Review
pre-submission.
Committee, yeah, pre-submission, yep.
And now I would like to
Yes.
move to accept the Minor Project Review Committee meeting minutes for May 2nd as presented.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Oh. You're allowed to vote even if you weren't here. Okay. All right. Thank you very much, everybody. Okay, next up, final vote on conditional approvals. Megan, do we have any conditional approvals?
There are no applications up for conditional approval today, Mr.
All
Chairman.
right, moving right along. We have a public hearing for SPR 644, modification number 2, site plan parking lot expansion and site modifications, 426 to 428 Winchester Street. Applicant Brickstone Land Use Consultants, on behalf of owner TBK Realty Incorporated, proposes the expansion of an existing parking lot and associated site modifications on the property at 426 to 428 Winchester Street, TMP number 115002000. The parcel is 2.59 acres and is located in the Commerce Limited District. Jim?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Jim Pippard. I'm here on behalf of TBK Realty.
Jim,
Do you want to do a completeness review first?
Yes, I think procedurally we typically do a completeness
Fine.
review.
Sorry, Jim. Does staff have a recommendation on completeness?
Yes, the applicant has requested exemptions from submitting elevations, a traffic analysis, soil analysis, historic evaluation, screening analysis, and architectural and visual appearance analysis. Staff have determined that the requested exemptions would have no bearing on the merits of the application and recommends that the board accept the application as complete.
Thank you, Megan. Anyone move on this?
Make a motion to accept the application as complete.
Second.
Any comments on that? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That's unanimous. All right, sorry, Jim, back to you. Thank you, Megan.
Thank you. Jim Pippard, still here on behalf of TBK Realty. They own an existing property on Lower Winchester Street. Winchester Street is here on the left side of the page. This is a 2.59 acre lot, and it's zoned Commerce Limited. The buildings are existing on the property. Access is a shared access with Fairfield dealerships, and also this property to the north. And I forget what the uses are. It used to be web and storage units at the back. There's existing parking along the south side of the building at 426 Winchester Street, and an existing paved parking lot to the rear. The building to the rear is occupied by a fitness center, and there's existing parking along the south side of that building. And again, they share this access within the right-of-way owned by the city for Cornwell Drive. The proposal is to add parking spaces primarily for the use of the rear building. Now that they're fully occupied, there is a need for more parking spaces. So we came up with a plan to add parking with access from the south, the Cornwall Drive right-of-way. And it'll provide 23 existing additional parking spaces. And we're also reclaiming a parking space here that used to be a handicap parking space. And the pavement markings wore away. If you look at it, you can't really tell, except for the sign on the wall, that that's where it was. So we end up with 24 additional parking spaces for the use of the business. That'll bring the total on site to 96 parking spaces. We are proposing to add trees along the west side of the new parking area. That'll provide a limited amount of screening and some shade, but the 3 trees are required because of the additional 24 spaces. We added handicap parking on the east end of this parking area with an accessible route to the main entrance of the building. The old handicap parking space, turns out, didn't meet the accessible route requirements, so it was good to eliminate it. It's just a little too steep. So the drainage from this area, this is currently a grassy area that we're adding this pavement to. So there will be additional runoff created over what's there today, but it's still within the acceptable guidelines. Our lot coverage will go to 65%, which is less than what's permitted in this district. And we provided a drainage report prepared by SPE Associate that calls for adding a new drain manhole in this location, a 24-inch pipe that connects back to an existing drain manhole. The parking lot sheet drains to the west into that existing manhole, and then will flow into this 24-inch pipe, which has a solid end on it and a 4-inch orifice to allow water to discharge. So we're providing storage for the additional runoff onto the parking lot that drains slowly into the existing storm drain system that passes into the textage system off to the east of the property. The drainage report indicates that there's the amounts of runoff do not exceed acceptable limits in a 25-year storm. Lighting, we are proposing to add 4 pole lights. There'll be 20-foot poles, full cutoff LED fixtures, provides an average of just over 2-foot candles within the parking area, and the uniformity ratio is 2.58. So we're well within the guidelines recommended in the planning board regulations. Other than the 3 trees we're adding, we're not providing any additional screening of the parking area because we don't feel we need it to comply. It's screened from the public right-of-way, Winchester Street, by the front building, and it's located to the side of the rear building, and this is not a city street yet. So we feel we're in compliance with the screening requirements. Snow storage, they'll plow snow to the edges of the parking area. Excess snow will be removed from the site. That's what happens today, and that practice will continue. City sewer and city water is already existing at the building in the rear. This has no effect on that. And the property is located within the 100-year floodplain. The buildings are elevated and not too low for the flood elevation. We're regrading this area and essentially lowering it by a foot. And by lowering it a foot, then we're providing compensatory storage on site, even though we're hauling fill back in. And so there's no loss of flood storage that'll result. And we'll go through the documentation because it's required, being in the flood district anyway, and SVE will certify there's no loss of flood storage. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Jim, I didn't bring my telescope, and the 8.5 by 11 that I'm looking at is a little tiny. Could you confirm the drainage manhole that you're proposing is within your property limits, right? It's not
Yes.
within the city's easement?
No, it's on the lot entirely.
Okay. And the final connection into the city's storm drain, that's an existing city manhole?
This is an existing storm drain,
Yep.
and so we're just providing a connection into that pipe.
Is that a blind connection?
It's a Y end of the line,
Okay,
because it's a 4-inch line going into I believe, a 12-inch line.
okay. All All right, I'll think about that here for a second. The other thing I need to sort of clarify for the record, in the drainage report, this is page 22 of 50 of the agenda packet. What it says is the parking lot constructed stormwater runoff will sheet flow from the east side of the parking lot to the west side of the parking lot to the new catch basin as you described, to be detained in a new storm drain until the 4-inch orifice. Actually, that's not the sentence I wanted to read. Oh, sorry. 24-inch HDP storm drain pipe with an end cap and 4-inch orifice. But what you're showing on the plans and in the details is actually that last section of pipe from your manhole to the city's Y is proposed as a 4-inch pipe,
Right,
right? So that's not an end cap and an orifice, it's a 4-inch pipe.
yeah, I agree, and that's an oversight.
So what are you actually proposing?
We're proposing a 4-inch outlet pipe. It's shown in the detail,
So what's shown on the details is correct?
yes.
Okay. And I think that's great and fine. I think, you and I probably both know that by October, that's going to be plugged, right? That's going to be a real maintenance nightmare for the owner. Would you agree?
I mean, I agree it's a maintenance issue. I don't know, I mean, I'm hoping that we have enough storage in this pipe, and that, it can collect the sediment in the large pipe, not the 4-inch pipe.
I'm more worried about leaves and stuff like this, but, yeah, I just think you will come to regret that 4-inch pipe. But be that as it may, I'm going to recommend a condition
Condition
precedent, thank you.
yes.
That the owner acknowledge in a letter to the city that that system, including the 4-inch pipe and connection to the city's main, is not to be maintained by the city. That's going to be an owner's responsibility.
Okay,
I'd like to just sort of document that for posterity, because we'll be getting calls about these catch basins backing up and not taking water within the next couple of years. Almost guarantee it.
I'll be retired.
You've been saying that for 8 years.
Jim and I are walking out the door together.
That's right. 22 days.
Hey, Jim, would you be open to adding a manhole where it actually connects, just for maintenance access?
Since the storm drain is on this property, what if we relocated that drain manhole over the line? And then you have
No,
no,
I want a
separate?
separate, that 4-inch pipe, I don't want there to be any confusion about that being part of the city system.
Okay,
Yeah, I'm not going to tell you you have to do a drain manhole there, but I would encourage you and Liza to think about it, just for your own maintenance access, or your owner's, your client's maintenance access in the future.
I agree, that would be much more effective access.
Yeah. It's private property. They can do it.
So how the water is gonna connect?
Jim, is there curbing on the west side of the parking lot?
This side, yes,
There's curbing there?
yeah.
Yeah.
Any other comments or questions? I seem to remember an early version of this had some lighting trespass, but it looks like that's been dealt with, which I appreciate. I did not look into the parking lot too much. Mike, did you have any zoning concerns about the parking?
We reviewed this at the pre-submission, or prior to the meeting, and they meet the required setbacks.
Awesome.
And lot coverage requirements.
Great. Any other concerns or comments with the one noted condition?
This is Megan Fortson, planning technician. So in regards to the additional proposed condition, I just wanted to make sure, Mike, you had expressed concern about the floodplain development permit. Is that something that you want to add as a recommended condition as well?
I think in Jim's testimony, he understood the requirements
Yeah,
for
it's
that. and
required
if you-
because we're in the district, so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
All right, and that alleviated, thank you for,
Yeah,
I don't think we need to do it as a condition, but prior to any work getting started, a floodplain permit will be required.
And that, just to clarify for my own mind, that would also be a precondition for the building permit as well. Like, you couldn't issue a building permit until the floodplain.
I think the only building permit that we'd be issuing on this
Oh, yeah,
site
'cause
would
it's
be
flat,
just the
sorry, yeah.
electrical,
Yep.
and the electrical connection, so.
Maybe not.
Yeah.
Okay. Forget I said anything, except that it's recorded and
Yeah,
will
it's
be
on-
seen
it's on
forever
record.
and ever and ever. Oops.
Mr. Chair, point
Yes.
of clarification. When we have a motion, should the motion include these additional
Yes.
requirements? Or should we have
Absolutely.
the original motion and then amend it?
Nope.
Okay.
Original motion, or the motion with that, and make sure that it's a precedent, condition precedent when
Okay.
you mention that.
and
Right.
the only other thing, Dawn, that I would recommend including is just since it's your department that's requesting that, maybe include some sort of language in the condition related to subject to review and approval by the city engineer or their designee probably is good, just to
Okay.
make sure that's clear.
Then I think I'm ready.
All right.
Move that the Minor Project Review Committee approve SPR 644 modification number 2 as shown on the plan set identified as new parking lot 426, 428 Winchester Street, Keene, New Hampshire, prepared by Brickstone Land Use Consultants at varying scales on October 25th, 2023, and last revised on May 17th, 2024, with the following conditions precedent prior to the final approval and signature of the plan set by the Minor Project Review Committee Chair, : 1. Submittal of an updated narrative, note sheet, and proposed condition plans to indicate the correct number of proposed parking spaces. 2. Owner's signature appears on the title page and proposed conditions plan. 3. Submittal of 5 paper copies and a digital copy of the final plan set. 4. Submittal of a security in an amount and form acceptable to the Community Development Director and City Engineer to cover the cost of landscaping and sediment erosion control measures. 5, submittal of an updated drainage report clarifying the intent of the 4-inch orifice connection to city drainage system in a form acceptable to the Public Works Director. 6, owner to submit a letter acknowledging that the city will not be responsible for maintenance of any portion of the on-site drainage, including the 4-inch drain line up to and including connection to the city's storm drainage system, in a form acceptable to the Public Works Director.
Can I get a second?
Second?
Any discussion? All right, seeing no discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, that's unanimous.
you.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Don. All right, item number 2.
Excuse me, who seconded that motion? This is the minute taker.
Rick Wood.
Yes,
Thank
Britta,
you.
it was Rick Wood, thank you.
The voice from the heavens, that was exciting. Every time that happens, I
It's
freak out.
a little disconcerting.
Megan, the next item, changes to Minor Project Review Committee application fee schedule, with some more intense reading of the LDC. I realize we may not have to do this. Can we just skip over this one?
That is correct, yeah. This agenda item actually doesn't need to be voted on. And I apologize, I should have removed it from the agenda, but it
No,
slipped my
this
mind.
is-
Basically, yeah, under Article 25 of the LDC, I think it's 25.1 point something, city council is given the authority to adopt the fee schedules for boards. So, we actually did not need to have the fee updates go through each of the individual boards being impacted. It's something that's just gonna be written into an ordinance, and it's gonna go through that normal process ultimately for review and adoption by the city council.
So,
Just for future consideration, do the boards, or should the boards weigh in and give a recommendation to the city council on changes to the fee schedule?
it's not required under the LDC. I think it's probably something that we will do. I mean, we certainly want to update you that your fees are changing. So we'll probably do that as part of that, and we can have discussion. And I think at the time, even now, we could, if you would like, we can offer comment, but that is not part of the procedure.
I think you should just allow the recommendation to go to the city council and not involve the boards. The
Not
board's
weigh
got
in.
enough to do right now.
Yeah.
You're busy enough, Don. You don't need any more stuff. Because we'd make you write it,
But I'm filled with opinions.
As is everybody.
All right, seeing that that's the end of our public hearing items, any staff updates, Megan?
No staff updates, no.
Brilliant. Any new business from the board? Yes.
Mr. Chair, with me today, Yelma DeSeta, a civil engineer, whom I think you all know. I asked him to sit in and sort of observe the process today. Currently, I'm sitting on the board as the former Public Works Director's designee. In short order, Yelma will be the new Public Works Director's designee.
Perfect.
So you'll be seeing more of him.
Thank you, Don, and welcome, Yelma.
Thank you.
Our initiation rites are gentle, I promise.
And Don, the only other thing, and I can follow up with you about this offline, is
A
we
memo.
usually just like to
Yep.
get, not even necessarily a memo, just an email is fine, saying that he'll serve as your designee.
Sounds great.
And I'll have a nameplate made. It will be so exciting.
All right, thank you. I think that counts as new business. Any other new business? If not, just upcoming meeting dates, and I'm gonna try and get this right. I get it wrong every time. The second monthly minor project review committee meeting will be June, it says June 20th. Yep,
Today's June 6th, 2 weeks from today.
the.
Oh,
begin-
it says May.
Yeah.
Wow,
That's-
I
I-
really am, can you
No,
tell I
no,
have
no.
my life
My
together at
problem
this
is
moment? in
I
time?
read it instead of just being logical and working through it.
Oh,
So,
boy,
second
I
one will be June
apologize.
20th at 10 a.m. July's pre-submission meeting will be July 3rd at 9 a.m. And then the immediately following it at 10 a.m. will be July's first minor project review committee meeting. And then the second one will be July 18th at 10 a.m.
Mr. Chair,
Yeah.
I would like to request that staff be admonished at your earliest convenience.
Don't worry, staff is already internally admonishing, so.
Yeah,
We-
I will not be at the July meeting.
Neither will I, so it may be a skeleton crew.
Yes, this is Med's last meeting before he
Oh, that's
retires.
right.
So that's sort of,
have one on the 20th of June.
Of June.
yeah, we'll have to see if we have anything that comes through for
Right,
final
yeah.
approval.
Well-
The June 20th meeting would just be to act on
If,
the final approval for that, right?
yeah, at this point, we're not gonna be receiving any new, applications because of where we are sort of in like the application process. But yeah, we have the Bergeron Mechanical application that has a pending condition of approval, and now this application
Okay.
with the pending conditions. So if we got anything, great. If not, it would just wait until July or so, if we end up meeting in July.
Great. Thank you. Seeing as it is Med's last meeting, I'm going to take the opportunity to say thank you very much. Thank you for guiding me in the process and only mocking me gently when I made terrible errors. And your thoughts and calm demeanor will be missed because the rest of these crazies are going to make this difficult.
Thank you. I would assume you have had conversations with Rebecca to replace me?
Yes, yes.
Okay. I'll have to clue Rebecca in on how to handle you all.
Well, I would start with Elizabeth. My understanding is I actually haven't been told who will be saying the role of med from now on.
By the LDC, and you're the manager's rep, right?
Yes. So it's Elizabeth's decision, and I have not heard more about that. So,
And also, just as a point, in addition to this, the next time that we meet, if it is in July and not June, there is going to need to be the election of a new vice chair, because Med is currently our vice chair.
can we do also a new chair? Can I just step down midstream? Damn.
I believe that opportunity is not available until the first of the year, right?
For vice chair?
Yeah, for chair.
Oh, for chair?
I can't
I mean,
abdicate.
he can resign, but
Woohoo!
it's, bad things will happen if he does.
To him. Okay, since this is going to start devolving, thank you very much, everybody. I'm going to call the meeting at 10:27. Thank you, and have a good Thursday.